And we're joined weekly in studio with Ellen Tunick. Today is episode 3 of a series called Helping You Reach Your Full Potential. This is a show about coaching and how to create the value of coaching or the value of the process of being coached. And this is what I want you to think about. So imagine for a moment living your life as this happy, hopeful child who's filled with optimism, high level of trust, courage, and confidence, right? And then you wake up one day and realize that that child is gone. And that all there is here in this moment is this nervous, anxious, worried adult who's hesitant and afraid of things that he or she cannot control. And wondering if I'll ever be able to get back to find that childlike freedom again, living in peace and tranquility. Is it possible? Of course it is. But it's going to take some work. You're going to have to work at
Not
it.
Some,
yeah,
a lot.
Yeah, you're going to have to unprogram the programming that we have brought with us from our childhood and from our young adult life into our adulthood. We've created these beliefs, these paradigms that which we see the world that we think is true or real. So it becomes our reality. Our fears,
our perceptions,
our negative thoughts, our limiting beliefs all become reality for us.
And we frame our world with all of that.
Absolutely. And so that's what causes some of the negative emotions that we're experiencing. So the question I have for you, Ellen, is, have you ever dealt with anxiety before? And if so, what does it feel like to you?
I have. It's very interesting. I didn't deal with anxiety for most of my life, but I have found in the last year or so that I'm actually experiencing small little bouts of anxiety where I can feel the anxiety rising, and then I feel some heart palpitation, and it's frightening, but what I do in my head is I sit with it, and I try and understand what is it at that moment that I am being triggered by that is causing this anxiety. I had a big bout of it a couple of weeks ago, bad, and I realized I was having 14 people in my house, and the kids were coming, and it was my birthday, and so that's what happened. It created this anxiety.
So in about 10 minutes or so, we're going to have a very courageous, powerful woman, businesswoman in our community that is willing to share some of her own bouts with anxiety, as well as be coached on the air live, such that other people can see the value and so that we can all learn and grow together, including myself, because I think having these discussions and opening up these possibilities of how can I master my own emotions, my own state of mind, my own feelings, then I might be able to just possibly live this powerful existence where I am freed up to enjoy my life.
And not afraid.
And not living out of fear, right? I think that's where the biggest part. So you're not going to want to miss that coaching session, so stay tuned for that.
I'm excited.
So one of the things that I want to talk about is, let's talk about the word anxiety. What is anxiety? What does anxiety mean to you? How do you collaborate the definition of anxiety?
Well, anxiety is interesting because what I can't always tell is it the mind producing the reaction on a physical sense, or is the physical body producing it, and then the mind jumps in? That's
a great question, and it's a great question to be in. However, you're like jumping way ahead. Oh. So let's go back. Okay. Let's go back to the beginning of
boom, boom.
Yeah, you're like excited. Let's get into this. So let's go back to the beginning of what anxiety is. Anxiety is a feeling.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Would you
agree? Not a comfortable one. It's an uncomfortable feeling for me.
It depends on how well you deal with anxiety. Some people have learned how to have anxiety not be the negative
or
state.
The incapacitating.
Yeah. So there's different levels to it. But let's agree that anxiety is a feeling, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if we have identified that it's a feeling, let's assume that it's a feeling of worry,
yes,
nervousness,
yes,
or unease. And typically it's about an imminent event in your life or something that you're uncertain of, like the outcome of something. Like you don't know where it's going to go. You don't know where you're headed. You don't know who's going to be at the event. So it's this uncertain feeling that all of a sudden starts to create the worry and the nervousness.
And sometimes when I do experience that feeling, that anxious feeling, sometimes I'm not really aware of what I'm being triggered by, what's bringing it on. I don't think it's always that apparent as to why it's happening.
I'm glad that you asked that. Why do you think you're not that aware?
Well, that's a tough question. Why do I think I'm not that aware? Because
Would you like to be that?
I would like to be that aware,
all right.
where I can feel that and go, oh, okay.
All right. So you ready for the good and bad news, depending on how you interpret it?
It's all good news. Come
Okay,
on.
good. To some degree, you are unconscious.
Yes.
At a certain level, like all of us, including myself. I'm unconscious to a certain state or a certain level. If 0 to 10, 10 was the highest level of unconsciousness. If I'm at a 7, then there's from 8 to 10 to get to. If I'm at a 4, then there's from 5 to 10 to get to. So we're all unconscious. Unconscious just means you're unaware at a certain level. So you're just unaware below the level of being highly aware of what are some of the triggers.
So what you're saying is that it's there. I just am unaware and haven't identified it.
That's right. You can't see it.
I can't see it.
And that's the value of having a coach or getting coaching. Their job, whoever's job is as a coach, is to open up these possibilities to have you see things that you couldn't see before.
Or don't want to see.
Or don't want to see, or living in the illusion that it's not there. So a lot of times there's games we play to not see the things that we need to see to help us learn, grow, and discover to get ourselves to that next level.
Yes, because a lot of times you don't want to see it, you don't want to feel it, you don't want to acknowledge it because you don't want to deal with it.
But most people that have anxiety, they will argue with you and go, "Of course I want to know. Of course I want to know what the triggers are." Would they not? Would you not be standing there and having a panic attack? And I'm going, well, maybe you don't want to look at it. And you're like, and you would probably argue with me and go, of course I want to know what the triggers are.
Yeah, there's still a level of denial because you've got to dig deep, and there's so much work and exposure.
That's a great point. I like how you say that you have to expose yourself, but there's a tremendous amount of work that you still need to do on yourself. You still need to keep growing and evolving and being coached and mentored in your life to hit higher levels of consciousness, higher states of awareness, so that you can see those things that are totally transparent to you. So imagine living your life having these powerful breakthroughs that are waiting for you, that are all around you, and you just go the next 30 years of your life never being able to see them or have them or experiencing them.
We get one time around. I mean, how sad not to say, okay, I'm open to this. Let's do it.
It might be sad. However, also,
It would be sad
if you
for
don't
me.
know what you don't know, you don't miss it. But
ignorance is bliss.
But right, or however, by you not knowing it, you're still paying a price for it. So it depends on
Yes.
how much of a tolerance you have at continuing to pay the same price. So a lot of times people that have anxiety, if we're unwilling to learn the next level of how to master my own state of mind, my own feelings, my own emotions, and do that work, what we do is we just tolerate the anxiety. We grind it out. We cope, we deal, and we write it out the best way we can. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying
I think most of us operate. Like that.
We operate
We
from
figure out how to continue going.
we just keep going.
You know,
We
it's
keep
like-
pushing through it,
It's
right?
like back pain.
Yeah.
You know, years of back pain, and then someone says, hey, why don't you go to this doctor and he can do this? And you go, oh, it's okay. Then you go and you say to yourself, oh my gosh, why did I not do this years ago?
That's right. That's right. So, anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease. So let's talk about worry. What is a worry? What is a fear? If you look at a worry and a fear, it's generated from a thought. Would you agree?
Yes.
You have a thought about something, and that thought, whether it's negative or positive, causes a certain experience. So if you have a negative thought about something, it's most likely going to cause the feeling of worry and fear and panic and anxiety. So we've generated the possibility that anxiety is a feeling of worry, And then worry is a thought. So let's go back to the thoughts that you're having. If you're having 1,000 thoughts in a day, how many of those 1,000 thoughts are positive versus how many of them are negative?
I'd have no idea.
You don't have no idea because you're not aware to the level
once again.
Or to check in with yourself and go, you know what, Alex? I'm probably about 90% positive, 10% negative, or I'm 50-50, or I'm just pointing out the level of awareness.
It's literally something I have never done.
That's coaching. That's you getting coached, you being asked a question to look at something that you never gave yourself permission to look at before, or no one's asked you the question, or you've never had the permission to even go there and even question or wonder why. And so now that you're aware of that, you're having thousands of thoughts in a day, and how many of them are actually positive. The more you have that are positive, the less percentages you're going to have of having negative thoughts that are going to cause the worry and the fear in your life, thus creating the anxieties in your life.
Well, you need to ask me next time that question, because I honestly want to really be aware of that in the course of the day. So next week on the show, I want you to ask me that question again.
I love that. And it's going to be a constant practice every single day. You're going to have to be mindful and really hyper aware of the thoughts that you have.
And this is the work.
This is the work that you got to get done. This is the practice that you got to put into play. And so most people that have anxiety to higher levels, higher degree, where they're panicking, or they could be in a mall and there's a loud noise, or there's just something that triggers them. A lot of times, from my experience, a lot of them are overthinkers. They think a lot. And this is common, especially for business people that are entrepreneurs, because I know that as an entrepreneur, my mind is always on.
Going,
it's always on. Even when I'm on vacation, behind the program, the wheel's still spinning, still trying to figure out what solutions I'm going to do or what I'm going to do when I come back from vacation.
How do you silence that voice? Because I do that.
That's
too.
a whole nother show.
Oh, okay. We'll do that.
Yeah, exactly. But so overthinking, I think, is one of the mechanisms that produces more thoughts in a day. If you're only doing 1,000 thoughts a day and someone's doing 20,000, what's the percentage that the person that's having 20,000 thoughts now is having more negative thoughts than you are?
Substantially higher.
Yeah, exactly. So you either have to silence the mind to have less thoughts in a day, and or be working on your belief system or your paradigm to where you're able to clean out a lot of those negative beliefs and replace them with more positive beliefs, thus creating more positive thoughts.
It's so important to expose people to the fact that you can reframe your story. And in reframing your story, you can help yourself with anxiety and worry and fear. But it takes a tremendous amount of work to reframe how you talk, what your storyline is, what your bio is. But it's ultimately so positive.
Yeah. So what's the solution to anxiety? And this session that we're doing today and this show that we're doing, I want to remind people that this is advanced level of living. This is an advanced level of mastering yourself. This isn't traditional therapy. Therapy is reserved for people that need to get to that step to be able to step up to the higher step. So all of it is beautiful work. All of it is healing. It's cathartic. It's therapeutic. And it's all to help us all get to each level. However, some people are at higher levels that need more advanced therapeutic sessions. And that's where life coaching comes in, is for those people that are rigorously ready to take on the what's next level. And so the solution for anxiety is to master your thought process. You have to be the master of your own thoughts, your own choices, and you really have to be super highly aware in the living in the present moment and be recognizing each thought you're having and each choice you're making.
That's such a big task.
Well, for you, it's a big task because you're
I'm not there yet.
Well, because you're looking at it right from, how do I eat this big elephant?
Yeah.
Do you know how to eat an elephant?
Piece by piece.
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
Right. And so as you get to the 30th bite, you're going, you know what? I might be able to finish this off in 75 bites. But prior to that, you're looking going, wow.
No way.
Yeah. You're looking at the top of the mountain
You
from the bottom going, how do I get up there?
You have to remain really positive, and you have to remember baby steps, baby steps.
And that's the process of being coached.
Because we want it all to be fixed today.
Right?
Right. It's that's like, okay, here's the problem.
But the millennials are teaching us this, growing up in a world where we're used to having instant gratification. My millennial kids have been teaching me as mirrors to go, wow, I'm starting to realize how quick they need stuff, and I'm starting to need things right now, solutions, answers. So it's a constant awareness to be able to go, Alex, slow down.
Slow it down.
All things that are great
take time.
They take time. And that's what I think some of the younger generation hasn't been taught or hasn't.
They haven't experienced it on any level. I mean, do you remember as a kid people telling you Rome wasn't built in a day? Right?
I don't even know if Andrew knows what that means. Now, he's intelligent enough to know what that means.
But think about it. Have you ever said that to your kids? Dial it down. Take a breath. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah, be
patient.
patient.
They would look at you like, huh?
Why can't it be built in a day?
Yes, it can.
And so that's some of the great attributes that they have, is because some of the limitations that we have that stop us from getting to the next level, they don't. So they can and will try to figure out how to build Rome in a day, which causes new breakthroughs in science, in production. They're the new generation of creating extraordinary. They are really built as a champion because they don't know that there are certain rules, so they defy the laws and they go out and create some extraordinary things. However,
I was going to say, but what's the fallout? Yeah,
well, there's some middle ground. So it's the wisdom that we get to teach them to go, hey, there's certain things that you're going to have to slow your roll on. There are certain universal distinctions that you have to learn that you can't change a universal law. And so if we teach them that, then they're just dialed in. They're just operating on all cylinders and just powerful beyond measure.
Yeah.
So the solution is to master your thoughts. That's really what it boils down to, right?
Number one.
Now, how do you master your thoughts? We talked a little bit about this earlier, and it's to learn about your paradigm. So you got to learn, what is a paradigm? What does my paradigm look like? So to give you an example, a paradigm is a belief system that you've created since you were little. It's like your operating system. So for Windows, it would be Windows
OS,
whatever. No, I think OS is Mac. But
OS is Mac.
Yeah,
okay.
OS is Mac. But that would be the operating system,
okay.
Right? OS. So that's your operating system. And when it's outdated, then you're sluggish, you're slow, and you're
out of sync.
You're out of sync. You're not dialed in, and you're not operating at full capacity.
I know when I feel out of sync. I mean, that is a feeling that I experience, is just feeling out of sync.
Yeah. And so when you're out of sync with your emotional state, your mental state, your physical state, your spiritual state, then things aren't working for you the way that you are wired to work. Like, you have the potential to be operating on all cylinders, all of them at maximum capacity, and then you're just living in a state of grace, right? And so we're struggling because some of those operating systems are a little outdated. That's your paradigm. It's like a framework for the way that you view the world and interpret the world to create its reality. So our reality is based on our perceptions, which is created out of our belief system,
which has been created over the years.
Your paradigm, yeah.
Your paradigm.
So that's our paradigm. So you have a paradigm, I have a paradigm, and we look through the paradigm like a set of filters, and what I see as black, you see it as white. And therefore now you and I are in this argument because I want to prove to you that it's really black, and you're going, no, it's really white. And so we can't understand that the way that you see it is white and the way that I see it is black, and it's however we choose to see it as our own reality.
And it's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. That's marriage 101.
Yeah.
That it's agree to disagree, or I agree that that's how you see it, and I'm not trying to make you see it the way that I see it. But from our paradigms, we view the world and we see things that are real to us. But we're wondering why someone else doesn't see that. It's because they have a different paradigm. It's structured in a different way. And if you can really take the time to structure your paradigm in such a way that you're able to see things for what they are, or see them for them being in a way that empowers you in your life, then you're living an extraordinary living.
So we create this paradigm through the years of growing up with all of the reference points that we bring with us, and we create this paradigm. So what, if I understand what you're saying, is you can shift the paradigm.
Absolutely. But it's going to take
a
some
lot of work.
So we have to take a short break, but when we get back, we're going to get a sneak peek into a real coaching session live on the air. And it's going to be into the question of, can you be the master of your own thoughts, your own feelings, and almost never worry to the point that you have anxiety ever again. Come back and find out more. Stay tuned for the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Santa Clarita, bedbugs are taking over our city. They've invaded our homes, our businesses, and most importantly, our sleep. If you have suspicious bites that appear nightly, or have a bug that you need ID'd, your best option is to make one call to All Pro. We offer a 100% guarantee that your bedbug issues will be solved with heat in one treatment. No need to tent or spray your house with chemicals. Heat is all you need. Call 661-298-2200 or text me a bug picture to 661-645-0540. It's time to sleep tight again, SCV.
La Esmeralda is home to truly authentic Mexican food. This family-owned restaurant prides itself on its fresh-to-order menu. Even the tortillas are made in-house. If you have a taste for sizzling fajitas, flautas, or menudo, you have to try La Esmeralda's Mexican and seafood restaurant. Dine in or order out for the most authentic Mexican food Santa Clarita has to offer. Their Taco Tuesday, it'll turn you into a regular. La Esmeralda on Bouquet at Haskell.
The USC sexual abuse scandal is heart-wrenching, as more evidence is revealed showing school officials ignored legitimate complaints from dozens and dozens of female students dating back 3 decades. Many are still traumatized. The Santa Clarita law firm of Owen Patterson Owen is helping USC victims get financial assistance for their suffering and see that justice is served. If you know someone impacted by the USC gynecologist's abuse, visit opolaw.com. opolaw.com.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina radio show. I'm your host, Alex Urbina. I'm an advanced life coach specialist, and the beautiful lady sitting to my right is Ellen Tunick. And we're going to go into a live coaching session here in the studio with this powerful businesswoman in our community, Charlene Gill. Thank you, Charlene, for taking the time and sitting in with us today.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me. It's nice to be on this side of the show for once.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it?
I like it.
So let's talk about anxiety, and let's get into being open to, like, ask some questions, and let's dive into that.
I definitely wanted to come on the show because I think I'm a great example of somebody who's suffered from severe anxiety, debilitating anxiety at times, and anxiety since I've been 17. So I thought it would be really good for people who are listening in on the show to see some of the things that I've been able to do and some of the questions that I'm going to ask you so that you can help in turn maybe a lot of people listening that don't know how to cope. I think one of the big things that I faced with anxiety was, okay, just take a deep breath. Okay, this is something that's going to pass, and that's not true. For me, anxiety isn't just sitting back, taking a deep breath. It's something that's consistently there. And I think for me, it was something I experienced when I was a lot younger. I had very sick grandparents. I had a very sick father growing up. And my mom was at the hospital a lot. And so she would take me when I was little. So I was in this very sterile environment. I was in this very unsure environment a lot growing up. And now I associate some of those places with very bad feelings. So hospital for me, don't want to go. Malls for me, I don't want to go. Big concerts, big things like that, big sterile environments is very uncomfortable for me. And I think a lot of it relates back to maybe some of the exposure I had when I was a lot younger.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest gifts that I've ever given to myself, not realizing it, was embarking on this conscious journey and getting into a training room and doing some work on myself. The work specifically was to complete my past. And I was able in 3 to 4 days fully complete my past.
What does complete my past
Complete
mean?
my past means allow my past to be the past and not bring my past into the present moment and taint this new moment of unlimited possibilities for me, and to really just let go of everything that's happened in my past so that allows me to start living fully in the present moment. When I'm fully in the present moment, I'm not really bringing all of my fears to this moment. I'm just allowing myself to be here now with you guys. So there's no fears or doubts or insecurities that are in the moment because I'm just creating myself brand new right here in this moment. And it was such a freeing experience for me. But had you had asked me or asked me if I wanted to partake in something like that, I probably would have told you were crazy, go pound sand. I would have said I don't need it. No, really. I would have said I don't need it. Everything's fine with me. There's nothing broken with me. I'm good the way that I am. It wasn't until I got invited to partake on this journey and realized that I really did need it, and I didn't know that I needed it. So that awakening and the concept of fully completing my past so that I can start living in the moment has brought me so many gifts that I don't experience anymore because I'm allowed to fully be in the present moment right here, right now.
It's so interesting because I remember I was 17 years old. I was a senior in high school and I was walking across the quad and I was in a very open environment. And I remember just having this sheer fear of anxiety hit at that moment. And I was in the middle of this big open space and I thought, that's when the anxiety started hitting me. And that was a lot of things had happened in my life.
Did you share that with anybody?
Yeah. My mom has always known about how severe my anxiety's been. But what I've learned from being 17 now that I'm 42 is I've learned techniques. I have my own techniques that I use or that I try to get my mind off of maybe that focus, and I try to refocus in reassurance. I think reassurance is a big thing. And I always try to tell everyone that is somebody that experiences anxiety, your family giving you reassurance is a lot calming to you. So the last thing somebody with anxiety would need is somebody around them saying, oh, you're fine. Oh, just get over it. Or, okay, just
really
kind of
like validating.
Right. Validating the feeling that person's having and saying, oh, I recognize that. I see that you're struggling. I could see it in your face. I could see that you're shaking, you're panicking, you're sweating, you're experiencing that. And then if somebody just gave that reassurance to me, it was like, okay, you can understand what I'm going through. It was if somebody didn't understand that anxiety would be intensified. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I would experience it.
Can I ask a quick question? I'm because I have people that are close to me, as I shared with you, that mm-hmm. also struggle with anxiety. Do you believe that at some point with proper coaching, mentoring, whatever, that you can live a life without this anxiety?
I do, because I feel I've had times in my life where I live with it for a couple years, but I live with it in a managed way. And then there's years where I don't have it at all. And for me, it's just, I think it becomes very experience socially related. My dad was very sick for a length of time. My dad passed away. My anxiety was at an intense level because I knew what was coming. I knew what I was going through every day. The phone calls at 3 a.m, that there was help needed. And that anxiety was like, okay, am I going to get a call tonight? Do we need to rush over? Or
that's
do we
the
need
worry
to,
we talked about.
Right. The fear and the worry. And it's when I take a step back and I say, look, there's nothing I can do. All I have to do is when the time comes, I'm going to have to, do what I can and be available and be the best that I can. So for me, anxiety's been a come and go thing in my life, depending on what my surroundings are and how tense things may be or how relaxed things may be.
Yeah, and it sounds like you've done a tremendous job so far in all of these years to be able to learn how to cope and manage it. Mm-hmm. However, I think the next level for you is to learn how to get beyond it so that there's no coping or managing necessary, so that you learn how to just start living in the present moment and creating everything brand new again, rather than having something trigger you to go back to the past and have those feelings start to regenerate themselves again.
And I think one of the hardest things, too, that I'd like to help with or get the message out on is for people who are starting to experience that, because mine started at 17. And, you know, for these kids that are going to their parents saying, God, I have this anxiety. And if they haven't experienced it or they don't know how to help them, I just feel that I don't want that to be overlooked. I don't want somebody's anxieties and fears to be overlooked, because there's a way that they can be managed and helped.
Or eliminated altogether.
Exactly.
Yeah, but there's a stage to it. So
yes.
there's a process
There
to get
is.
to. And so you have been going on this process in search of figuring out how to manage, cope, deal with, and be able to not let it run you or run your life or interrupt your own joy, your own peace, your own happiness. And so that's why I think it comes and goes, because it's still there's still the next level for you to get to finally just jump out of it and get onto a whole new platform and start living your life more conscious, more aware, more mindful, in a powerful, centered, grounded state.
You know, after experiencing what you've experienced for so many years of your life, I'm sure that we can listen to what Alex is saying, but it's actually very challenging to actually be able to picture that.
It is, because there's been times where for me it's been debilitating, to where I don't know if there's a lot of people who've experienced panic attacks, but they can last
I had
for
a close friend at work.
They can last for a
experienced-
day, or they can last for weeks. And it can mess with your sensory. So, for example, I'd have major panic attack that would last. And my daughter was 2. I had her in the back seat of the car. I had to pull over. I thought I was dying. I had to have my husband come pick me up. And I spent the next 3 to 4 weeks in my house. I had to wear sunglasses. My sensories were so on overload. Like even when someone was talking to me, I just had to say, you just have to whisper, because my senses were so intensified that it took several weeks for that to kind of subside. And I also want to make it clear too, that if you have anxieties and things like that, you also want to make sure that you don't have any other issues going on, like thyroid conditions or things like that could be easily helped, you know, because some women especially might be experiencing something like that and not know that it's something that can be treated differently and not truly anxiety like
Right.
I and you suffer from.
Well, there's so many other conditions. There can be just a condition that you live in where you're being maybe emotionally abused and not aware of it, and then you're constantly re-causing new trauma over and over again. So it could be, I mean, we can go on a whole tangent in a list of things that are triggering and re-triggering. So just looking at the living conditions and the environment you're in and the relationships I'm in, you really got to put yourself in a healthy space even to start healing. So like I said, you've been on this amazing journey of figuring out how to heal yourself.
Right.
And manage.
And I do. And I know that when I get to that point of anxiety being at such a high level, that I have to tone everything down in my life. I have to just kind of take a step back. Maybe I'm involved in too many things. Maybe I'm trying to do too much at a time, and that's a little bit overwhelming. So I'll just say, okay, I'm going to take a step back and maybe not do as much over here. Maybe I just need to give myself a week or two and kind of like rejuvenate, because I can sense my body when it starts going in that direction.
So when one senses their body, you know, and they start to feel what's going on, how do you get present in that moment to not just manage it, but do you know what I'm trying to say?
But at that point, you're already managing it.
Oh, got it.
Because you're recognizing now. You've dealt with it. So, for example,
Yeah.
when you've dealt with it for so many years, you know, here it is. I'm feeling that uncomfortable feeling. I'm not feeling like, oh, I could just go to the grocery store. I can just go to the mall, or I could just go over here without a sense of worry. And the second I start getting, oh, I'm a little bit worried, or, oh, this is kind of making me feel like this, I already am recognizing that is coming back, and I have to alter. I have to take a step back and figure out what is that relaxation again that I need.
One of the things that Alex said to me in the previous half hour, every show I do with him, every time I speak with Alex, I get an aha moment. My aha moment in the first 30 minutes was, worry is a thought.
I was listening when I was out there, and it's so true.
Worry is a thought, and the beauty of the human is that we can change our thoughts.
That's right. But some people aren't aware that they can change their thoughts. You have to get to a certain level of awareness that I am my thoughts. I'm the creator of my thoughts.
Right.
And if I create a negative thought, then why can't I create positive thoughts? You're the manifestation of all of your thoughts, all of your choices, all of your actions, all of your emotions, everything. You're the creator. You create your own reality. Now, the question is, how do I get back to the source and being the creator, where I'm creating these positive, empowering thoughts? That's the question. When you just a few minutes ago, you were talking about the anxiety, and you brought up a situation at the mall, and you said, how do I deal with it at that moment? In that moment, as it's happening, you're already now coping, you're dealing, you're managing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I want you to think of anxiety more like a symptom. So when you go to the doctor's office and you go, I got this numbness in my hand, your doctor, if they're a good doctor, they're not looking at the numbness of the hand. They're trying to find the root cause. Mm-hmm. Like they're trying to look at your heart to see if your heart has something that's going on, or is it the source or the root cause coming from your spinal cord. They're trying to find the root cause. But anxiety, the way you deal, manage, and cope with is like dealing with the symptom. So you can either deal with the symptom and put ointment on it or put ice on it and try to manage.
Try and make it feel better.
Try to make it feel better or go away temporarily, but you're still not dealing with the root cause. And so what I want to open up today is the possibility that for those of you that have gone through the therapeutic and the managing, the coping, and the dealing, but you're ready for the next level, and we're not all there yet, but if you're ready for the next level, it's now let's get to the root cause and let's do that work.
I'm pretty sure there's not one person that wants to live with anxiety. It's awful. I mean, it's a disease in a way that somebody doesn't see that you have. You know, you can see if somebody's missing a limb. You can see if somebody's, missing an arm, and you can see a physical
right. And so it's
issue.
easier
so
to
it's
accept.
easy to identify.
Right.
But if somebody were to see me, they would say, oh, she's a mom, she has a daughter, she's married, she has all these things. They don't see a woman that has suffered from an anxiety disorder for a very long time. And I just really, it was funny because when Coach was talking to me about the show, he said, we don't have to mention your name or anything. And I said, no, I want to mention my name because I want people to know who I am, what I have dealt with, and that they can do that too, that they can overcome it, that they can figure out a way to do it as well, because that's the problem. I think so many things become so masked, and we don't want to deal with a depression, or we don't want to deal with something like this, that we just put masks on it. But
we put Band-Aids. We put Band-Aids on them.
And I just want people to know you don't have to do that.
Well, you're definitely doing that today just by talking about it, being courageous enough to say, hey, this is what I suffer with. We only have a couple minutes. Is there a specific question that you want to ask to get some clarity on?
I think it's just, what can people do who have experienced anxiety that can relieve them of the anxiety overall? Because that's truly what everybody who experienced this wants. We definitely want
big order.
You're trying to figure out, how do I just get rid of this once and for all, and just try to.
It's such a big question, and it probably needs to be broken down to itty bitty bits.
No, I'm not going to break it down. I'm just going to.
You're just going to say it
raw. You got to be committed to working on yourself at a higher level. So you got to get yourself a coach, a mentor, to be able to walk you down this reconstruction of your whole belief system. You got to be willing to go, I have to do some deeper work. It doesn't have to be a coach. It could just be a mentor or an advisor or a spiritual guide, someone who's going to teach you certain distinctions about life and leadership and about yourself, that when you really fully understand them, all the symptoms start to slowly fade away. So like your anxieties and your fears and all the things that we're all struggling with are just warning signs to say, beep, 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 beep. It's time to change the oil. It's time for your tune-up. It's time for you to get a new car. They're warning signs to say that there's more work for you to get done. But a lot of us are so afraid of actually working on ourselves or making that kind of commitment that we just basically keep grinding it out and keep doing minimal as possible because we're able to tolerate whatever we're suffering with to a certain point.
We become accustomed
accustomed to it. That's right.
The only fear I have, though, is that some people won't be able to handle it if they're not a strong person. They won't be able to handle that, and they won't be able to get through life just dealing with it.
And some don't.
But that's when I fear substance abuse comes involved, and they try masking it with other ways, and then we end up having a situation where we've got really young kids and things doing other things to themselves when really that's not the answer.
So you're doing exactly, what you want to do, which was open up the conversation, talk about your experience, and hopefully in that conversation, parents or kids will feel that they also can have that conversation.
Thank you so much, Charlene, for being here. I really
Thanks
appreciate
for having
you.
me.
Absolutely.
I love to come back. You guys are great.
Absolutely, for sure.
So nice.
Yeah. We got to take a short break, but we'll be back. Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Sweet, salty, tastiest, bacon and pancakiest. Big yawns are okay, yummy syrups, yes way. Butter pecan, blueberry, old-fashioned strawberry. Never empty coffee pot, Mom says it hits the spot. Almonds are the fluffiest, Dad's hugs the scruffiest. Scrambled eggy, pepper shaky, orange juicy, wide awake. Stuffed French toastiest, waffles with the mustiest. Buttermilky, smooth and silky, tastes great, love on a plate.
IHOP, everything you love about breakfast.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
With the safe disposal of waste from our homes in the Santa Clarita Valley, Chiquita Canyon Landfill is able to create enough green energy to power 10,000 homes each year. So you can feel good that the waste from your home in the SCV is helping create a clean energy source and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Chiquita Canyon Landfill is our partner in sustainable living.
Chiquita Canyon is helping lead the way to a greener future.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina radio show. Just Ellen and I here back in the studio to wrap up this amazing hour of discovery, growth, and to go over what some of the takeaways are. So what did you hear? What did you learn? What's your discovery about yourself in this coaching session? What's the aha moment for you?
I had a couple of aha moments. One aha moment was I need to be absolutely more present in understanding that I have 1,000 thoughts in a day, and I need to be able to discern how many were positive, how many were negative. Another aha for me was being able to understand a worry is a thought, and we are able to reframe our thoughts. Those two things personally for me are very, very big, and I want to focus on those. There's tons of other stuff, but those were the big ones.
Yeah, and that's some great takeaways. But if you and I were doing a coaching session, I would ask you as your coach, what are you worried about? And then that would
I would say to you everything.
But that would force you to have to look at yourself.
Yes.
And then evaluate what you are actually worried about. And this is the crazy thing about being coached. Most of us aren't asking ourselves certain questions to check in with ourselves, to reflect, and even look at that question.
Yes.
Because we're so busy doing. We're so busy out there either coping, dealing, managing, surviving, grinding it out, that we don't ever stop and go, you know what, Alex? Yeah, what am I worried about? So that's the value of having a coach, is that he or she can sit with you and go, hey, what is it that you're worried about? And then you got to stop and go, no one's ever asked me that before. And then look at it and then now have to find an honest answer about what is the worry.
Feedback. We go through our lives and we don't get that feedback from somebody else. And I think it's critically important when you say to me things like, you're not present. You weren't present. You didn't ask yourself that question. And I have to go back and go, that's true. That's absolutely true.
And once you're willing to be honest about that, now from going, wow, I can see that, whether it's true or not, or whether I was accurate or not, but just me asking that question or giving you the feedback, by you being aware of it, you go, okay, now from here I can start learning and developing that next level of breakthrough.
I can take that and I can move forward with that.
Yeah. So what would some of the honest answers sound like when I say, what are you worried about, or what could you be worried about?
I'm worried about the safety and well-being of my family.
Okay. I'm worried about my kids being okay with where they are in their life.
Yes.
And then I would probably ask you, what are you trying to control from that worry?
I'm trying to control them being happy.
I'm trying to control their happiness.
It sounds so silly when I actually say that.
I'm trying to control their life.
Yeah.
I'm trying to control the.
I want to make it all good.
Yeah. Now, you and I both know that's
ridiculous.
That's out of your control.
Absolutely, and not healthy for them.
But as people are going, you know what, Alex, that's right. It is out of my control, but it's still this part of me as a parent that I always want the best for my kids. And then I go, that's great. But there's a distinction between always wanting the best for them and trying to control or manage the outcome for them. One you have absolutely no control over. The other one you can control. The part of you that always wants the best for them. So let's transition from needing the outcome to always be the right outcome for them to just being honest about, I want the best for my kids. And let's just hang out in that area.
I would like to hang out in that area.
But before you can get there, you got to first be aware that there's a part of you that's trying to control not only your life, but the lives of the people you love the most.
Well, you have to understand, if their life is good, then I feel good. I don't want to not feel good.
So then what you're telling me is that your happiness is dependent on their happiness.
And that's what we call enabling.
Well, you're codependent.
That's what I meant.
You're codependent on their life turning out. If their life turns out, then you know what? That means
I'm all good.
I'm all good because it means I was a great mom. Instead of knowing...
Intellectually, I know that doesn't...
No, you don't know that.
I don't know that.
If you did, you would surrender to go, I know that every single day I give my kids 150% of my love, my affection, my encouragement. And at the end of the day, when I go to sleep, I got to shut off the control part and surrender that. None of their life has really anything to do with me.
Right.
Like I can't manage, control any of it. And so they're on their own journey. And as it unfolds, I'm just going to be there to be right next to them with my arm around them, or to give them a hug, or to clean off the boo-boo, or to pick them back up and remind them that tomorrow's a new day. That's the most that I can control, is how I interact with them as they go through the struggles of life. I'm no longer going to try to control the struggle, manipulate it, and try to make it be the best for them, because I'm not in control of that.
This is my work.
It is your work.
This is my work. I am very open to this work, but I know it's going to take time and it's going to take commitment. Very willing to do it, but I know this is my work.
So then let me have you make a declaration now of the new version of Ellen. So we'll call it Ellen 4.0. What's Ellen 4.0 going to make that new commitment when it comes to trying to manage and control the lives of your children?
I want to be the person that...
Not I want to be.
I will be.
Or how about I am?
I am. I am the person.
Yes, you
that will embrace their individual journeys in life and will love them and be there for them if needed, but embrace their journeys into the world.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go home and make this video clip of just that section. So every time you text me worrying about your kids, I'm going to send you that video clip. Because as your coach, my job is to remind you that your declaration and from a place of being clear, right, having clarity, that I have no control over their life, that I just get to walk alongside them and be that support, mentor.
I get to walk alongside them.
Yes.
That means a lot to me. I can envision in my head. I get to walk alongside them. And
I wouldn't pick anyone other than you to walk alongside them or walk alongside me, because I know where your heart is. I know that you love people. I know you care about people. You want people to win, and you're an amazing mom. And so your kids are blessed to have you in their life.
Thank you.
Stop trying to make it okay for them. Part of people's struggles in their life is what causes them to find that champion inside of them. Imagine if every mom and dad would try to manage the outcomes or the roadblocks in their kids. We wouldn't have opportunities to figure out how extraordinary I am if I have no challenges.
Because I'm too busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Making sure they're okay.
That's right. But if you came in to try to knock all the roadblocks out of our way, I'm never going to figure out how extraordinary I can be, because I've never had challenges in my life, because my mom always came, or my dad always came in and made it okay for me. So you got to remember, perseverance and determination and that strong will and that champion inside of all of us is only developed because we've had a road of life that has challenged us to so many different levels.
Wow.
That's all the time we have. But the good news is that we're live right here every Friday at noon. Please follow me on Facebook at Coach Alex Urbina. I'm also on Instagram and YouTube. Thanks for joining us on the Alex Urbina Radio Show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.